classism is the father of racism. But I mean, you guys want to do a final thought? I mean, great
Final,
episode though, man.
yeah, great episode. We had a lot of facts and a lot of like stuff to back it up with, man. And I'm gonna start it off. My final thought is, you know what I mean, like knowing the facts and knowing the history. Um, if you are of if you are of an ethnic group that's been typically historically attacked by police officers, just understand that. And if you ever have an encounter with a law enforcement officer, just be cordial, be positive. Don't do anything that's gonna entice them to overly use their excessive force. Because sometimes they do come at you with excessive force from the beginning without you even having an idea of what's going on. But just be mindful that there is a history, and there might be a chance just because you're a certain color or just because you belong to a certain ethnic group that you might be looked at different. Just be mindful of that and just act cordial. Know your law first of all. Know what they can do and what they cannot do, and just be very careful when dealing with an officer. Not all of them are bad, but statistically, most of them are bad. So just take that into consideration and just be mindful. Just know that the odds are against you, and as long as you know your rights, you're a little bit in control of the situation. But also, don't give that person, that police officer, a chance to use his license to kill, his badge to impose excessive force on you. Don't give him the opportunity. That would be my final thought.
My final thought, pretty much what I just stated earlier. I mean, until economic inequality, and understand that it's all about the economic inequality, and not until we really address that, it's never going to stop. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to racism, bigotry, xenophobia, those are things that stems with classism. So we're always going to see social injustice on many levels, and it will continue as a systemic result if we don't change the economic inequality in this country. And that's my final thought.
I think it all stems from the so-called white privilege. And you're right, Jay, on what you were saying, but white privilege is just basically white people looking out for white people. That's basically what it is. So as blacks and Latinos, we have to start looking out for one another in those instances instead of treating each other as if we are the enemy as well.
Yeah,
If we create that sense of unity within each other, we can create our own privilege. If you see another black or Latino lacking, you should help them out. You know, let me help you out. And then we shouldn't feel because this person is being nice that we should take advantage of them. Because that's one of the big things that we have an issue in our culture is that if I'm doing good for somebody else, they're gonna take advantage of me and stab me in the back. And it's an opportunist nature that's prevented us from creating our own sense of privilege within each other. Um, Also, I feel like energy is a big part of a lot of things. And I've seen a lot of videos where African Americans have been on the verge of losing their life, but because they remained calm, even when they had a gun pointed in their face, they were able to save their own lives. So I feel like, it's the tougher situation because a cop can have the excuse saying, I'm in fear for my life, but you're supposed to remain calm with a gun in your face. How's that possible? How are you going to remain calm when you have a cop punching you in your face or trying to literally kill you, but they can fear for their life. And until they're held accountable for their actions, which within the last couple years, you're starting to see cops become more and more held accountable for their actions. Cops are being indicted. That lady who killed that dude in Dallas, even though she got 10 years, you got to think of it as a start. Racism, civil rights movement was only 50 years ago, somehow. So these people are still alive.
you're still alive.
So it's all and two, it's about energy. It's about energy. It's about trying to fix the situation at that moment and trying to be better people within ourselves. And if we can recognize that, then we can slowly become a better society. But it takes time. I've said this on the podcast numerous times. It takes time. It takes time.
Mm.
You can't fix hundreds of years of segregation in a matter of decades.
You're right. You're right. And
You can't break a mentality that's been there forever. You know, because they still think of us as free slaves. You know, and I know deep down inside they're like, you know, I can't believe this fucking dude's talking to me like that. You know, my ancestors made sure that they were hung on trees, that type of shit. And I know that they think like that. Some, not all of them, but
Right, right.
and I think that until we change that, you know, narrative to where Martin Luther King said it the best: be judged by the content of your character, not by the color of your skin. And I feel like in my lifetime, I've seen some really, really good white dudes that are the best. I've seen some really, really bad white dudes. I've seen some black dudes that are the best. Seen some really, really crappy ones. I've seen some really, and it goes through all races. So until we can get to that opportunity, into that position where you're judged by the character, and you being a piece of shit is really who you are, and it's not judged by your character, it's going to be a long road ahead. But I feel like it takes time.